delighted to welcome you to this year's Leader Luncheon.
YWCA Utah is Utah's oldest and largest provider of family violence services. We hold 117 years of leadership, engagement, and change, proudly and carefully assuring its continued impact.
Our services are centered on equity. We know that immigrants and queer, trans, Black, Indigenous, and people of color face additional barriers to seeking safety. Our organization has made significant strides to ensure that we are a safe place for all communities.
Dr. King is a global thought leader, a strategist, a solutionist, an orator, a peace advocate, and CEO of the Martin Luther King Jr. Center for Nonviolent Social Change. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Bernice King to the stage in a conversation with Liz Owens.
YWCA Utah is really about what connects us in community. It's about the hundreds of women and children who live on our campus seeking safety and security. It's about the community of staff who are committed to show up as our best selves in the most difficult of times. And it's about our larger community that supports us and makes our work possible through partnering and volunteering and donating. Ultimately, what connects us in community is love. How can Be Love and Nonviolence 365 give all of us here today the tools to adapt to keep moving forward the work of eliminating racism and empowering women as the world continues to change?
The work of justice, the work of creating a humane, equitable world can be done with the power of love. And my father talked about it, and that's what we based it off of. He said that power at its best is love, implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is love correcting everything that stands against love. When you talk about violence, any form of discrimination is a form of violence. So how do you address it? You address it by taking the tools of nonviolence, the principles of nonviolence, the steps of nonviolence. It helps you begin to frame the issue that you want to address. It helps you to educate the masses of people that need to understand, how this is showing up and how we can begin to create a plan and a strategy to make sure that we are addressing issues around gender and race. We always tell people that nonviolence seeks to defeat the injustice and not the people. It seeks to win friendship and understanding. So you start out with a mindset in nonviolence of saying, okay, let's really peel back the layers and understand what's going on here, so that we can create solutions that begin to elevate people and create an environment where people feel like they are treated fairly and equitably. But nonviolence, as I said, as we define it, is a love-centered way of thinking, speaking, acting, and engaging that leads to personal, cultural, and societal transformation. And if we're going to be inclusive, we got to make sure that we have a fair representation of everyone, at the table, and that we are not building the table before we bring them to the table, but that we're building the table collectively together at the outset.
How can individuals, groups, and organizations mitigate or resist pleas to compromise or shrink away from anti-racism work due to a volatile socio-political environment and threat of loss of funding for programs, activities, jobs that seek to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion?
You can't be afraid to stand for what's right because of the consequences that may follow. If you are afraid as a leader, then you may have to question whether you need to be in that role as a leader, because that is what's necessary today.
Thank you, Dr. Bernice King, for spending time with us today as we honor outstanding women in our community.
Thank you.